All right, I'd like to welcome everybody to this edition of Ask President Soto Anything. I'm Evan Summers, I'm your village manager. We've got a few questions for you, Mayor. How are you doing today?
Doing very well. It's good to be back.
Good. Summertime in full swing. With summertime, obviously, comes music in the park. We're well underway. Do you want to give us an update of what we can expect for the rest of the summer?
Well, as long as the weather holds out, we did have our first rain out, and that's unexpected. But given what has occurred in Wooddale with the bad storm, it was certainly the right call. The storms came in right at what would have been the pinnacle of music in the park. Right. But that band will be rescheduled for, I think, 2 weeks after the end of this season. Good. And we're going to bring them back so people have a benefit of seeing them.
Yeah, they're definitely an in-demand band. What else do we have going on in music in the park?
We have a lot of great bands left. Seventh Heaven will be back here again. We have a lot of vendors with our French market. It seems to be growing each year. Mm-hmm. And we kind of mess with it or tweak with it a little bit, and where you situate it, where you put it and position it. It does have a lot of great products, and a lot of people seem to be liking it, and so it seems like it's going to just continue to expand. And then this year we added a lot of new things for I would say they're not really kids, maybe tweeners, or also
the young adults.
Young adults who like to play video games, or like myself. So they have a photo booth that's there, and then they have a video gaming bus that seems to get a lot of attention as well.
Great. Well, we invite everybody out to Music in the Park. It's a popular event, but there's always room for more. So
the other thing I wanted to add was the T-shirts.
Yes.
This year we started doing T-shirts. I mean, back in the 80s, back when at my age we would go to concerts. You would go to a concert. One of the things you always want to do is grab and purchase a concert T-shirt to show where you've been, that you were at this particular show, and 10 and 15 years later, people still have them. So this year we started doing Bensonville's concert T-shirts that list all of the bands that will be playing at our Music Fest this year. So you can buy them for $15 at Music in the Park, and periodically during the session we'll throw some out to some of the residents to get a free one.
Yeah, they're really cool looking shirts. I have one in my office right now. It was actually designed in-house by some of our village staff. So it's a real homegrown design, really cool looking, and $15 is a pretty good deal for it. So moving on, there's a lot going on, a lot of construction happening in town. Do you want to talk about some of the new developments in the village? I know that's always changing and always up for discussion.
Yeah, it has been fluid. One of the things that have been fluid, which we get a lot of calls on, is the old Crochelle Nursery property, which is on Irving Park Road. And there had been a Speedway sign there. Speedway had originally come to the village, several years ago to acquire that property, wanted to build, and then when the gas prices fell, they put their plans on hold, and then they ended up coming back to the village and said, oh, by the way, we'd like you to give us some economic incentives. What that basically means is they want money from the village in order to build something. Well, the village wasn't really interested in doing that. We have enough gas stations, and certainly if the village is doing an incentive for business, it wants certain types of business, such as restaurants, something that will create attraction in our downtown area, not to a gas station. And our village manager, Evan, did a very good job of negotiating with them, and basically we said either you build it or we'll buy it from you and we'll develop something on that. And they came back and decided to build the Speedway.
Right. So yeah, no economic incentive from the village. It's probably a good win for everybody, and we've got a new Speedway, and they're happy, we're happy, everyone's going to be happy on this.
Yeah, the next project that's going to occur is over at the old Legends golf site.
This is an exciting one.
Yeah, this is big. That site had been originally purchased. First it was a construction dump years ago. It was purchased by the village. They ran a golf course on it. It was unsuccessful in the sense of, when villages go into the private industry, in a sense, they're competing with their own park districts. It really was not, I think, a wise investment for the village. It ended up costing the village money every year just to keep it going, and eventually it was shut down, and then it's just been basically on the books, and there's still debt on that property. So one of the things that we wanted to do is return that property back into the private sector. Once it returns to the private sector, now it's not owned by the municipality. Now it generates property taxes, which benefit the schools and the park district and the library district. But we also wanted to get true value out of that property to develop, a way to generate more attraction or business attraction or potential consumers to the Bensonville area. So this site is going to be really a neat site. We're having 2 more hotels that are going to be built on that site, and then next to that site is going to be a sports dome complex. It's going to have 2 domes, parking, and it's going to run soccer, probably some other indoor activities that they can do, like there's similar domes like this in Rosemont, and also there's the Bo Jackson Dome that I believe it's out by Homer Glen area. So it's really kind of a similar concept as that. So between that, and there's going to be then another gas station that's going to be located on County Line Road over in the corner, and another restaurant on basically the corner of Grand Avenue and County Line Road. That whole area now is just going to immediately transform to be a really an interesting place where it drives people into Bensonville, recognizes Bensonville's that it has a lot of things to offer, and hopefully really more people utilizing some of our restaurants.
Right, it's really going to be a dynamic development. We're going to have the athletic fields, the restaurant, and right across the street are the hotels. So there should be some synergy developed between those 2 businesses.
You know, it's interesting too, and is the fact that even though it gets a little bit away from core functions as a municipal government, but it's really kind of within our wheelhouse, because Bensonville is unique, that Bensonville has its own ice skating rings. So it does kind of go into this area and does it quite successfully, and we're very profitable with our ice skating rings now. So to incorporate another form of entertainment, you know, within the context of what we do, it seems like it's really kind of the right fit in this particular case.
Right, so it accomplishes a lot of goals. It gets that dynamic development that we were talking about. It also, we're going to be able to take the proceeds of the sale of that land, pay off the debt on that TIF district, close that TIF district out. The overlying taxing bodies will benefit from that, as well as all the taxpayers. So it just accomplishes a lot of the goals that we set out to do. There's one that I'm really excited about, being from Indiana. Do you want to talk about Zurn Industries for a little bit?
Yeah, Zurn Industries is a business that's going to be relocated into Bensonville. This is part of the building that if you're right across from near the ice rink, right across from where the skating park is, you saw that there was this big building that went in. It was built by Hamilton Partners. Hamilton Partners built this before they had tenants. They had some tenants come in right away, and then this was what they would call kind of a spec building, and they were able to build a really nice building. And basically what happened is a business is moving out of Indiana and moving to Bensonville, and that's going to create a number of job opportunities for our residents. Again, the more people you have working closer to the downtown area, that creates more traffic for your restaurants, more restaurant opportunities, use of your grocery stores and what have you. So it is really a nice little incentive to have an entity like this.
Now, I'm from Indiana, so it's exciting. You know, I have peers over in Indiana who take great pride in stealing Illinois businesses and relocating them to Indiana. Well, this is a nice one that we can not steal, but recruit a business from Elkhart, Indiana, and move over to Illinois. You don't hear about that too often, but it's happening here in Bensonville. We should be proud of that. Zurn Industries, for those that don't know, they make, if you go to a restroom in a commercial building, look at the faucets, the toilets. It's usually indoor plumbing type stuff for commercial applications. Great products, world-renowned, everyone knows them. So this is great to have in Bensonville. We're excited to have them, and we're going to try to do a grand opening with them here in the future.
You know, what's really nice about it is our staff chasing down economic opportunities and bringing them to Bensonville. This is, you know, it doesn't happen by accident. I mean, this isn't like they just came and knocked on our door. This was kind of a project that we worked on with DCEO, the Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity, to find them a home here in Bensonville. And this is something our staff works on a regular basis. And we read in the newspapers how businesses are always leaving the state of Illinois, going to other places. Well, that's not occurring in Bensonville. They're coming to Bensonville, and we're attracting them from other states because of our location, a pro-business atmosphere where it's a good place to work, good place to live, and really to raise your children. So they realize that one of the benefits is also that we have a high-quality workforce that's easily accessible to them.
On the economic development side, one of the challenges that I was somewhat surprised to undertake here is I think our vacancy in our industrial area is somewhere around 4%. So we're getting a challenge where it's tough to find space for some of these growing businesses. So it's a great problem to have. I'm not going to complain about it, but it's a fun challenge to have.
Now that wasn't always the case. I mean, go back to 2009, we ran an incredibly high vacancy rate in our industrial park. I think we had the highest vacancy rate in the area. We were somewhere in the area of a 23 to 30% vacancy rate. And to see that turn around to run right around 4% certainly is a swing in the right direction. Because it increases property taxes for those areas that generate money that goes to our schools, which then kind of balances the property tax levy that's on our residential community and lifts some of the burden off of our residents. And that's why they haven't seen property taxes rise like in other areas, or what is currently you're going to see happen in Chicago and in Cook County areas in the very near future.
I know some residents got notices from PACE that the Route 319 was going to be cut. Do you want to talk about that experience and what we were able to accomplish?
Yeah, it seems like what we have in Bensonville is one challenge after another that comes and faces us, and really our administration has been very nimble and aggressive in order to tackle those challenges, and PACE is just another challenge. So we have a bus route, and the bus route goes down York Road, and it's critical for our seniors that live in Bridgeway and Castle Towers. They have access to the bus because the bus route takes them to the New Jewel, into shopping, or to doctor's visits. And a lot of our residents that may take the PACE to go to the train station or to the industrial park to work. And PACE was going to cancel that route. And to us, that was very critical.
The term that was used was they're going to right-size the system. Yeah, so they notified the village, and we said, no, we don't want to lose this service. Bensonville's bled enough, and we worked with our partners at PACE to not only stop the cancellation of that service, but we want to partner with them to grow service in town. I think that's important. Public transit is death by 1,000 cuts. If you reduce the service, fewer and fewer people are able to use it. So we want to partner with PACE and see where we can grow service rather than cut service. So we were successful. Route 319 is off the chopping block. It's going to remain in service and serve those residents who rely on it for their jobs or social or see family. So it's here. We got assurances that it's here to stay. So we're happy about that. It's a good win for us.
It certainly was. And it goes back to being nimble, being aggressive, having great relationships that we do with our state representatives, and really being able to go out there and let our cause known, and not just known but respected. And that's something Bensonville has done very well at earning a level of respect in our region right now.
So we were talking about jobs. Are there any jobs in Bensonville right now that people can apply for, or what's the process to go do that?
We try to do a lot of different opportunities for employment in our area. The village does, and one of the things that the village does is we have our own Bensonville job board that we regularly post job opportunities. A lot of times what I do, and I know a number of other people do, we post not just jobs in the village that we may be hiring summer help, but we also receive postings from other businesses in our industrial park, and we put them on the job board. And then also we scour some of the other sources, like the state might have job opportunities that open up, and we look for those opportunities if the state is hiring or some other government agencies are hiring. We also put those on our job posting board so our residents can have access, a centralized place to look for job opportunities that may go under the radar because it's not published in a newspaper or what have you. So this was a way that we try to do that.
It goes beyond just the job board. We're also bringing out Cisco for their career expo. Do you want to give us some information on that?
This is great. We started doing this a while ago. A few years ago, for the very first time, the trades had opened up apprenticeships. And during the recession,
so like the union laborers.
Yes, Cisco represents a number of union trades. So for years, the trades were completely closed. In fact, they were laying off 30 to 50% of their workforce. Not only is that workforce now all back and employed, 2 years ago was the first time that they actually started opening up apprenticeship programs to hire more people. One of the very first apprenticeship programs where they were looking for apprentices was held here in Bensonville. And then we do a program every year with the high school, and now Cisco is coming here for a career union fair, and you don't have to be in high school. This could be a person who, 20 or 30 years old, 40, and they're looking for a career change. Maybe the industry they worked in doesn't exist, and they want to go into the field of plumbing or a carpenter or electrician. They can actually come over, find information out, see kind of what we have or what the unions have to offer. They're going to be bringing some trucks that you can see what welding, how they do the welding, electrical, and then you'll get information on how to apply for these apprenticeship programs.
Right. And that truck they're bringing out, it's going to be virtual welding. So this will be at the August 3rd Music in the Park downtown, kicking off in the evening. Come down and you can do virtual welding. You can try your hand at bricklaying. And these jobs, these aren't just jobs. These are careers that pay very well. For a lot of people, college isn't right for them, and you can have a great life working as a union tradesperson. So this is just an opportunity that people can explore. We invite everyone to come out and participate. And so try your hand at bricklaying. Who knows? Maybe you're the best bricklayer out there. A lot of these trades, these union guys got to be out on Irving Park Road doing construction. So you want to talk about Irving Park Road and the construction that we're seeing there?
In case anybody hasn't noticed at home, we have a little construction going on Irving Park Road. I mean, not just the grade cross separation, which is a very large project. I mean, that's a very $64 million project. I mean, you're creating multiple turn lanes now to ease the construction, and the tracks have been lifted. That is a very intense project. I mean, all the underground systems that had to be relocated in order to do that, that's at its final end and stretch right now. So that's one segment of the project. And then we've been doing our own streetscaping to improve Irving Park corridor, the aesthetics of it, how it looks. And when this project's done, all of Irving Park Road is going to be redone by IDOT as well. So we wanted to have the aesthetics in place when the asphalt is actually all replaced, and it looks very nice. So that we had done part of that already. So this phase will start off from basically Church Road, a little past Church Road, going west to a little bit past 83, which will be the new, removing the bricks that kind of fell apart, and the stamped concrete, the new light fixtures, and really just improve the aesthetics of our town.
Now, there's an unfortunate aspect of all this that we should probably make the residents aware of. In this ongoing state budget disaster, we just recently this week got informed by IDOT that if a budget isn't in place by the end of business on June 30th, IDOT's going to have to suspend all of their operations, which our Irving Park work is an IDOT project. So they're effectively are going to be running out of money and stopping road projects. This is somewhat of an unprecedented event. We've never really been here as a state, but this is where we're at. So we're going to do our best to call our legislators. We encourage residents to call their legislators and let them know that these projects do matter. These road projects are necessary, and we don't want to have to push this off any longer than we have to. So it's not a great situation to be in. We're prepared to manage it, though.
You know, Bensonville, the residents of Bensonville have endured a lot over the years. Road construction is just another hurdle, we deal with, have dealt with, and, the issues with our airport, and they're just very resilient, very positive people. So, it's an inconvenience, yes, but at the end of the day, are we going to be better off when the projects are done? Yes. The sad part is what's occurring in right now in Springfield, and this is just one component. If the budget isn't passed, or they don't have a budget, they're not, they're already out for the summer session, which means that they're not going to be working. So getting a spending plan in place, which last year what they did is they just passed a bunch of incremental spending plans that kept things going. This year they're not doing it. This is just one component. In August we may see something even more serious, which I wrote an article or a piece I published in a couple newspapers about school funding. And if the school funding isn't in place, that may be kind of held up too as part of an overall positioning for bargaining position to force some type of budget. Right. And it's just something that not just our community, every other community is going to have to face the same issues.
It's just unfortunate that our biggest challenge is our own state right now. But we don't need to go too far into that. Let's go talk about some more positive things. We have a new trustee on the village board. Would you like to introduce him?
Yeah, Dave Majeski, and maybe we can show a little bit of bio of Dave. Dave has been a community member for a number of years. I've known him for years. He had volunteered at the village and a variety of projects that we've asked him to do is just a volunteer. He's been involved with parades. He's been a member of our community development department. A few years ago, when it was critical for us to get an accurate census, he was one of our main volunteers that took charge of the census to make sure we had accurate census data, because that meant that the village would be properly represented for different types of funds that the village would receive. And he did a really great job, and it was nice to have him move up to the board. He's have a lot of experience. I sat with him when we did the strategic planning on the curriculums for District 2. He was one of the members of that, as well as with myself last summer. So he works really well with these type of with government entities and really trying to moving the village forward and progressing. And I think he'll do an excellent job.
Good, good. Got a few more questions. This one came in via the email, which we'll give the email address for Ask President Soto. What's happening with the Church Road bike path?
Well, we're waiting for that to be done. This project is something that we budgeted for. It's supposed to be done this year. We went out to bid, so the contractors were just selected. So that part is finally completed. And then really what happens now is the project gets underway. Mm-hmm. It's the resurfacing of Church Road, basically all the way down to Grand Avenue, which everybody that drives it understands that it sorely needs it. And also, that's a gateway, one of our gateways into our community. It should look nice. But one of the overall concepts that we wanted to do is start thinking a little bit more in the future in creating these bike paths. A lot of communities have them. We have a wonderful trail system, that runs the Prairie Path in Elmhurst. Wooddale has a system, Addison has a system, and they're all interconnected. The only one who doesn't have any currently and is not connected to any of these systems is Bensonville. So when Church Road project came along for resurfacing, we realized that there were additional grant dollars if we created a bike path system. And this is the first leg of that bike path system to try to connect into all of those other bike paths, so our residents could get on their bike and then basically ride all the way through Addison to the Prairie Path, and pretty much can head out to Fox River and Geneva and St. Charles area if they wanted to. So it's really nice.
Right. So in a few years, you'll be able to conceivably leave your house in Bensonville, take a Bensonville bike path to connect into the Prairie Path, which is what a lot of people want to do. This is part of a planning study that was done by Active Transit to build this bike network. So this is something good. This is something that will probably raise property values because it's access to new amenities that didn't previously exist. So this is a positive thing for us.
Very true. And people are much more athletic in the sense, or health conscious than ever before. So bike paths is something people look at when they want to relocate their house and move. Without offering that, you kind of lose the type of people that you want to move in and be a first-time home buyer and raise their family in our community.
I remember being told by one of my professors at school that parks and bike paths aren't optional anymore. They're basically a requirement. And if we're not pushing ahead in that realm, we're falling behind. And we don't want to be falling behind.
Well, and it raises a question too, is we're really working with the school district, District 2 now, and making sure we get that park in place up on Hillside Avenue. The parking lot just went in, the school district did. We're working with the school district now to make sure that these parks get in there, and we want to see the parks in there by the end of the summer. That's at least our position at the village, and we're working with the school district to make sure that they help secure those parks in that neighborhood by that period of time as well.
So transitioning to our next question, when we're out and about in parks in the summertime, there is this little insect that we like to call a mosquito. What is the village doing to help combat mosquitoes? They're in the news a lot, and they're just annoying. Do you want to go into what we're doing to try to reduce that annoyance?
Mosquitoes have always been a difficult issue. You hear about Lyme disease and other issues, well, those with ticks, but mosquito viruses.
Right, West Nile virus, that's the new one.
Zika's the huge one that's very pervasive in Central America and other areas now. The implications of what that means is, for a family that's affected, is just catastrophic. But Bensonville has always been very aggressive with mosquitoes to combat them. So we do 4 full town sprays, and you'll see the helicopters go by 4 times a year early in the morning to spray the entire village. We also have other types of treatments that we do, I think 12 of them a year with ultra low volume kind of treatments. And then the village is always looking for places where mosquitoes could breed and take care of those areas as well.
So I was talking to our public works director, and he was explaining how we go out and all the catch basins in town that may have standing water, we'll throw little tablets into the catch basins, and the tablets prevent the mosquito larvae from growing, so we can just stop them before they ever get here. We also do have a mosquito hotline. I'll give you that number right now. It's 1-800-942-2555.
And then, so for the people at home, if you see an area that seems like there's water, standing water, and that it would be a breeding ground for mosquitoes, just let us know. Call the hotline. This way we can get out there and try to remedy the situation the best we can.
Well, that concludes all the questions that we have. We appreciate you guys tuning in for us. This is always a good time of the month to come down and talk to the mayor. Most of these questions were generated from residents like you calling in. You can always call us and ask a question at 630-594-1600. That's 630-594-1600. Or you can always email us at askthepresident@bensonville.il.us. So, Mayor, I want to thank you for coming down and having a talk with me and the rest of the residents.
You know, I really enjoy this. I always like to talk to our residents, communicate with them. It's difficult to do that with just, articles or newsletters, and being able to come here and actually talk about these issues and this dialogue that we have, I think, is really helpful for our residents and something I really enjoy to do, doing.
Well, good. Glad you could be down here with us. Thank you, guys. Have a great day, and if you need anything, feel free to call the village.